Our collect, or opening prayer for the beginning of Holy Week on this Palm Sunday, inspires within us to pray for humility. Almighty, ever-living God, who as an example of humility for the human race to follow, caused our Savior to take flesh and submit to the cross, graciously grant that we may heed his lesson of patient suffering and so merit a share in his resurrection. The second reading from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians provides us with the scriptural foundations for this prayer. The first part of the reading explains the first part of the prayer, the example of humility we are to follow. That Jesus Christ, though God, emptied himself and became one of us. And he humbled himself even to the point of death on a cross. This is the example of humility that we are to follow. To empty ourselves of our ego, of our pride, and see ourselves in relation to God. That we are not God, that we are his creation, that we cannot save ourselves. The second part of the second reading helps understand the second part of the prayer. That through patient suffering, Jesus was exalted in the resurrection. This is the lesson. That by emptying ourselves of our ego, of our pride, and being humble, we will endure great suffering, both from within our own heart and from the world without. But that leads to joy. When we reject this lesson, giving in to ourselves, our wants, our desires, rejecting what God has ordained from the beginning, and which has been taught through the church in her faith and morals, being filled with pride, that leads to emptiness and to pain. Saint Josemaria writes, "When pride takes hold of a soul, it is no surprise to find it bringing along with it a whole string of other vices: greed, self-indulgence, envy, injustice. The proud man is always vainly striving to dethrone God, who is merciful to all his creatures, so as to make room for himself and his ever cruel ways." Humility, recognizing that there is only one God and we are not him, gives us the foundation in the spiritual life to combat the deadly sin of pride and its effects in our life, primarily to a false godliness, in thinking that we can save ourselves. We have only one Savior, Jesus Christ. And that causes every knee to bend, our worship. And we pattern our life by the way we worship, with humility.